Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
It's live.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
All right, greetings and welcome to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Jeremiah, alongside my co-host, the minister, Samuel.
Hey, and welcome back to Live Talk. Glad to have everybody back with us.
Yes, indeed. And today we will not be joined with the spiritual ambassador. He had some other business to take care of, but we should see him next week. But before we go to anything, let's go to our general statement and disclaimer.
General statement. Live Talk is proudly powered by TBS Goodwill, Builders of the Highway Foundation, and Men of Purpose. Together, we're bringing about awareness to the everyday challenges facing individuals, communities, and our nation. We tell our stories, listen to yours, and always respect different perspectives. Want to share your voice? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com to be a guest, or if you would like to contribute to our mission, purpose, go to livetalkorl.com to give a donation. Disclaimer. Information provided during this event and others to come does not constitute the official opinion of Live Talk or its affiliate entities. It is strongly recommended that viewers seek independent expert advice regarding any topics discussed, as legal requirements differ significantly across jurisdictions and are subject to frequent changes. If you have questions or concerns, you can always email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and or Instagram at Live Talk Orlando.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We have to get that out of the way. How you doing, minister?
I'm doing great. Doing great for a Saturday morning. Always looking up for a wonderful day.
Yes, sir, indeed. And if our listening audience, if you hear any audio going in and out, just send us a comment so that we can try to fix that. It seems like we're having a little audio fading in and out. So help us out with that. Just chime in and send us a comment. Just make sure. Okay. All right. Blessings. Just got a comment coming in. Blessings. All right. So as for myself, I always say I'm walking in the spirit of the Most High. I'm thankful for what He has done for me in my life, and I pray that our listening audience is doing just as well as we are. We just came off the trade show expo, minister.
We actually had a very successful trade show. Our second annual trade show is bigger, better. We love being able to reach out to the community, especially the youth, let them know that there are opportunities there, and to be a part of bringing that opportunity and making it a reality.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Just being in the community, a part of the community, and providing resources to the community to help the community grow. That's what it's all about. All right, so family, we're going to give you a quick rundown of the show today. First, we're going to have the minister word of today. Right after that, we're going to go to a commercial break, and then we're going to come back with our main topic. And our topic is maleness. No, males can be mad.
They can be mad. We want to remove that part.
But maleness versus manhood, redefining masculinity in today's world. This will be part 2, and we'll be joined by a special guest today. And I'm not going to tell you who the special guest is. We're going to let you find out a little later, but we're going to be joined by a special guest today who is deep when it comes to this type of information and sharing information with us in the community. And he's big with mentorship. So we're going to welcome him as we come back from our commercial break. But right after that, we'll go to another commercial break, and then we'll come back. And we may just continue this topic instead of going into world news, and then we'll conclude with a reading or either a quote from the host. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
All right, we're going to do a continuation, especially with this topic. Our word of the day is going to be understanding. Understanding. And understanding is defined as the ability to understand something. Comprehension. Understanding is the power of abstract thought and intellect. Understanding is perception or judgment of a situation. A mental grasp. Understanding is the capacity for rational thought or discrimination. Knowledge about a subject or about how things work. Some synonyms are intellect, reason, agreement, explanation, and grasp. And our quote for today, based off that definition, is that being a male is a matter of birth. Being a man is a matter of age. But being a real man is a matter of choice.
Right, my brother. Like always, we appreciate that word of today. And we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with our main topic.
You got a Wi-Fi? Got capital.
What do all these people have in common besides a beautiful smile, healthy teeth, and gums? They all use Zodi toothpaste. Zodi toothpaste is made with all natural ingredients. Zodi toothpaste is fortified with moringa and baking soda. Zodi toothpaste is suds-free, making it an excellent choice for kids. All natural, fortified, and suds-free. Get yours today at noystore.com.
All right, welcome back. All right, so today we'll be diving deep into part 2 of the topic that hits home for so many men and honestly for the women who love and support them too. There's a big difference between being male and walking in manhood and being a male biologically. It's something you're born as, but manhood, that's something you grow into. It's a journey of responsibility, integrity, strength, and love. In a real world definition of a real man is often distorted by culture, pride, or pressure. We're here to unpack what the true manhood looks like spiritually, emotionally, practically. And joining us today, we have author and inspirational speaker Shane Zulu Shepherd, a man with deep insight into manhood and a true passion for mentoring young men. He's here to share his wisdom and perspective on what it really means to grow from being a male becoming a man. Shane, my brother, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you for having me, man. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, my brother. As you can see, you get a lot of excitement in the studio.
No doubt. There was plenty of people. I heard them all.
And again, my brother, welcome. It's truly a pleasure having you here. Just to speak on this topic. You spent years mentoring young men and speaking about manhood from both a practical and spiritual standpoint. So let's start there. But before I start there, how you doing, my brother?
I'm blessed, man. Peace to you. Peace to the brothers, man. Just blessed to be here. Happy to be amongst the land of the living. Like you said, the Most High got a plan for all of us, and hopefully that everybody is living in their truth.
Yes, sir, indeed.
Sir,
well
yes, sir.
said, my brother.
Welcome. Great to have you back.
Appreciate it. I remember I was here early on, man, when y'all was first getting, I see you got a better handle on the engineering side, even when it ain't your permanent job no more. I see you, so.
He doing double duty today.
Yeah, a lot of growth done happened since the last time I was here. I see it, for sure.
Yeah, my engineer, he had some other things he needed to do, so I said I'll step in. We got a special guest coming in today, so I'll make him feel real special. I'll sit in the seat.
Okay, then. I appreciate that. That's why when I came, I said, where am I sitting at? I didn't know where I was going to be,
Yes, sir, indeed. But my brother, we're going to get a little bit in this topic. This is part 2. I know you weren't with us in part 1. This is part 2. And as we get into this information, the first question I have, and I'm gonna throw these questions your way because you're a guest coming on. In your own words, how do you define the difference between being a male and being a man?
Good one. I like that question because I hear it a lot on a lot of mainstream medias. A lot of people get attacked for their perspective and their definition on it. So the question to my audience, if y'all can't hear, is he asks, what's the difference between a male and a man? Well, male is a biological thing. So to me, that's biologics. That has to do with the Most High and the way that he developed and the design that he has for the male species. Manhood is maleness plus growth. So maleness, in order to be a man, you still have to have the biology. I want to make sure we get that established so as not to never be able to confuse with, I always hear them say, well, manhood and this and the third is a social construct. I can agree with the manhood portion of it, but the basis and the foundation of it still has to go with maleness. Maleness has to be at the foundation of manhood. Now, society can construct what a man looks like in different societies, different cultures, different times, this, that, and the third. So when we speak about manhood now, we have to be speaking about the social construct of America and that we've accepted. You know what I mean? Because now you can't start moving the ball and changing the definition. Like you said when you read it out, manhood looks like responsibility, growth, evolution. It's a lot that comes with it. So that would be the difference between male and manhood is maleness is a biological thing, and manhood is something that you grow into. You obviously observe, you learn, and if it is a social construct, then that's the same one that we've all accepted of what a man looks like, and that's a protector, a provider, things of that nature. Yes, sir.
And we talk about that oftentimes, how this society defines what a man is, and then how we need to redefine what that man looks like in our household, in our community. So great point, my brother. The second question here, and I'm gonna try to go over some of the questions that pretty much pertain to part 1, and the next question here is: do you think society confuses masculinity with manhood?
I do. And the reason to me, again, this is all my opinion. It's not even a definition or opinion of live talk radio. Masculinity is the expression of manhood. Because to me, masculinity is a verb, it's an action, thing, and it has expression. So that's why they can say, oh, yours is toxic, or yours is not, or you have too little of it. So there's an expression of manhood that we have defined as masculinity. Now, in that, there's a spectrum, just like there's a spectrum with height. Some people are 5 foot, some people are 6 foot, some people are 7 foot, but there's still height involved.
Right.
So to me, masculinity is the expression of your manhood. And now we can go to determine the degrees of said masculinity. That would be my answer to that one.
All right. Great. I'm loving it. So the next question here is, who shaped your early understanding of what it meant to be a man?
Good question. He asked me who shaped my early understanding of what it meant to be a man. And after I answer this question, my group on my social media, you need to go to my link and go figure out how to come to Live Talk Radio to hear the rest of this interview. So I'm going to give you this answer, and then I'm going to get off and just ask that you go over there to Live Talk, support these brothers, and listen to the rest of this interview. It should be a really dope interview. We should really get some good movement going on. But to answer that question, it was my grandfather. And I've learned that he shaped those perceptions of manhood in the first 8 years of my life. In between 8 and maybe 30, I don't think I ever met another man for a long time. I met plenty of males, but I didn't meet men because I was born in the time where the crack era was about to occur. And so my father became a victim of those times, right? And I remember when I grew up and I became this responsible guy, I got my house going, my family, the 2 cars, the dog, the 2 dogs, the car, the wife. I'm like, where did I learn this from? Because I never seen it. So I had to go ask myself and do, self-inventory. You learned it from your grandfather. I said, well, dang, when did you learn that from him? Wow, between 0 and 8 years old. And those seeds that was planted in me, it, like you said, manhood, I was already male, and he showed me what manhood looks like in the form of seeds, and he showed me what that looks like in action. And then later on, when it was time for me to become that man, I only had really one reference to go back to, and that was him, and I had to go way back from 0 to 7. So I said that to say, just make sure that you are intentional about who you are to these younger people, because you never know the impact that you're going to have on them. You think these children don't know what's going on in your households, or you can keep doing this, that, and the third in front of them, but you shaping the man that you're going to get out of this male that you have, that you call your son.
Right.
Their eyes are wide open.
Right, period. And recording, and really recording. I remember I took inventory of myself one other time, because in the mental health world, if you don't go back into your own treasure troves of memories, then you really can't deal with yourself. So I would go back into my own history and see, where did certain things occur? When did this behavior in me start? And I remember tracing myself all the way back to Cincinnati, Ohio, right? I remember saying, okay, I remember getting in this fight. I remember doing this, and I remember doing that. And then I had to ask myself, how old was you? And I remember, boy, you was 5 and 6 years old. So you was fighting at 5 or 6. So this ain't a new problem. This ain't nothing that just started with you. So you had some anger issue, so that's, to me, how you take inventory. You got to go back into your own history, your own thought processes, and see, okay, where did this behavior begin at, and what is it about this behavior? Can I do something different with it? So that, again, goes to show I learned the positive about manhood from my grandfather from 0 to 7. And then I can go back and see you also still had some of the same issues that caused you pain later in life back in that same 0 to 7. So we are really shaped by that time in our lives.
No, I agree with that. I often tell people the same thing. It's your past that kind of shapes you at the same time. So if you was raised by a male, then you only know male ways. If you're raised by a man, you had a man in your life, like what you mentioned, then you're gonna have some man attributes as you get older in life, and you're gonna be able to execute that as you get to a certain point where those tools need to be used. So no, perfect. Thank you for that answer, my brother. Minister, you want to chime in on that?
Well, that's just it, and it was so much. I'm just listening. I'm enjoying this conversation, and I want to make what was your original question on that comment? I don't want to go off on a different tangent and get ahead or behind.
Yeah, who shaped his early understanding of what a man meant?
Yeah, and I remember Shane. He got a real powerful testimony And I know my original, when we did part one, I talked about my father
Mm.
being in a household and being from that era of, raised as a protector and a provider. He was a male, he was a man, and I'm thankful for that. I don't want anybody to get that wrong, because thankful he was there, because I can almost guarantee you if he had not been, I would have been either in prison or in the graveyard. But some of the things that I didn't get because of his generation, that part of manhood that tapped into beyond the masculine and the provider, those things I didn't learn till later. But also, even though I had a father in the home in that generation, there was also a culture back then where men, there was a whole lot of pimps, players, and they had money, they had cars, they had a lot of women. So we wanted to ascribe to those attributes that we saw. And so you really had a dichotomy of, you see this on this side, you see this on this side, and here you are. You can go toward one, you can go toward the other. And then we moving it to where a lot of the culture that we have today has a tendency of defining manhood based strictly on maleness and masculinity without the manhood. And some don't even know it. And like we talk about culture, but I know the culture back then, we could do some knockdown, drag out fights by certain things. But the difference in our culture back then as men, we would fight and then we could make up and then we'd be best friends 2 days later. We don't do that anymore.
No.
It's different now. We want to, somebody disrespect you, you want to put them in the graveyard.
Yeah.
We could do a real fight. Oh no? Okay, you wait. We coming back and do this again.
Right.
Then we square up. And then we squash that and move forward. But it was based on things, how we were raised, what we saw. But when you don't have a man to see it, when you don't have anything to balance it, it can make a tragic outcome.
No, definitely. In the generation today, a man is also considered as someone that can pull the trigger of a gun.
Oh,
Sure. You got a gun. You're tough. You tough right now today. So to your point, that's truly it. I remember growing up, and the guys that were selling drugs wouldn't sell drugs to. I mean, if you supposed to be in school, they ain't selling you no drugs. They doing wrong, but they ain't finna sell you no drugs. You just can't get it. But
they had ethics.
Right.
Well, one of the reasons why I think we in the condition that we in and what we describing is a cultural shift has occurred.
Mm.
So you remember when we were young, a lot of times the rap music that we listened to was Public Enemy or, it had a message to it. Even Nas and the earliest, these early guys, it had some hardness to even Ice Cube.
Right.
It still was a socially conscious message to it. Lately, over the last 25 years, I'll say, because even in the 95-ish, I'll say that's when it kind of 30 years, I would say it changed. Yes. Now it became the glorification of murder. So now it getting money went out the window after so long.
Right.
Now it's who can commit the most murders. And then when you combine that with glorification of the gangster in your neighborhood, combine that with the video game that you getting trained early on, Fortnite, you rewarded for killing, you rewarded for scavenging, and then these things become the culture. And so now, like you said, my ego and my emotions, being that I've been raised by mostly females, being that the culture wiped out the men in our family, now I'm being raised by females, and now my emotional side is on my sleeve. And so, like you said, you could get into a real stomp down fight, eye swole, and this almost a badge of honor. Look, I'm still here. I'll bump with him tomorrow.
Right.
Now, when you get that, you got the culture of social media. Before somebody even help you patch your eye up, they got a phone in your face. So now somebody else has seen your wound. Now that somebody's seen your wound and they've started making comments, these people are not real. This is the peanut gallery is not. It's not an authentic place. It's once they scroll past it, it don't have no effect on them anymore. It just affects you. But when you see somebody seeing that this happened to you, now you got to get back because you got to do it a little bigger or better because of our egos and our emotional
sir.
wearing them on our sleeve. And again, it's the culture and it's acceptable.
Yes.
It's acceptable. I've seen people in the corner over here screaming, going crazy on the Facebook live, and his partner's telling, "Hey man, put the phone down, bro. You tripping, you tripping." But he's so caught up in it. They won't. I'll take your phone, bro. I feel like I needed to just stop. Like I'm take it from me, but you didn't, and that cost you and your whole clique drama after drama. Now everybody's dead locked up, and it all stems back from that one emotional outburst where the culture thought that was cute and watched all these men die and go to jail.
Ain't that something? Which
Sure.
which kind of leads to my next question. You're talking about emotion. Many men are taught to suppress their emotions. Do you believe vulnerability is a strength in manhood?
I do believe that vulnerability is a strength in manhood. Now, demonstrating said vulnerability is a whole different thing.
Mm.
Because knowing that it's a strength, knowing that it's a superpower, but being able to approach the plate and swing your bat at it is a whole different conversation. Because you might have been pushed down your whole life. You might have been, underappreciated and all these different things that causes us to have these Band-Aids on our emotional repertoire. So for me to come to you vulnerable, knowing that you just might hear me out for the sake of some tea and not help me at all, that makes us not want to approach. So I do agree that yes, it does make you, vulnerability is a strength, because how can you help me if you don't know I need your help? Hence me and your conversation. Like I was vulnerable with you to say, hey, I need to sit down with you because I need some things I need to discuss with a black man that only another black man would understand. And maybe you'll be able to look into your mental and say, you know what? I got the solution. If I never bring it to you, then I never know if you could have had my solution. You might not have it. You might say, hey, man, that sucks. It's a great story, but ain't nothing I can do with that. But what happens if you say, you know what? I know a guy that know a guy. Now you look up and my problem is solved because of my vulnerability. So I think it is a strength to be vulnerable, and you have to be prepared to be told no. You have to be prepared to be denied, overlooked. You know what I mean? Because some of us feel vulnerable. Like I got a partner who he works hard. I mean, he works hard. He works 12, 14 hours every day, 6 days a week. I know all he wants is for his woman to see and appreciate the sacrifices that he makes. And every time we kind of get by ourselves, that's his sticking point is, bro, she just act like she don't see me. So I realized his vulnerability is I'm doing it, but you got me out here vulnerable with no reward. And I think that's causing him to now start to, like I heard it, like he was about to stray, cheat. I'm thinking, wow. And I'm not going to say it's not his fault because it's his fault even thinking that.
Right.
But baby girl, he been vulnerable with you and you've pushed him down several times. So he needs to go somewhere and so I'm working with him now trying to make sure he don't do that. But I'm hearing it like this is going to happen if I don't get in the way because of his vulnerability and wanting to be rewarded just mentally by her, and her not seeing it is causing his vulnerability to be about to be put up, and then he'll be hard to the next woman. He won't be this again.
Right.
If this don't work out, he won't be this vulnerable again, because again, like you say, it could be a strength or used against you as a weakness.
You're right.
The next one may have to pay for that.
She's gonna pay. Oh, for sure. Again, guess what? Culture.
Yes.
Culture say I'll be the fool once, but I won't be the fool twice. Now this woman got to keep, every woman from here on out got to pay for those mistakes because of again what we talk about, culture and shit. Sure.
No, and the same thing happens, with a woman when a man does that, and the same thing, vice versa. We have to be mindful and conscious of that. Especially in our culture, in our community, because as a man, you can run your household, but sometimes we run into females. See, the other side of that is now you join along with a female, not a woman. Mm-hmm. So as a man, you can join a female and you can be taken from your manly attributes or feel as if you're not manly enough because you're dealing with a female. And we have to understand the difference between that as well, because that was one of the things we talked about before, because if you have a man in the household and the man is trying to teach the child, the male or the young boy how to become a man, and you have a female in a way of that process, then it kind of takes away from him doing a job that he needs to do in order to make sure that he train him up the way he's supposed to go in becoming a young man. So we have to also consider, like, when we join on with a female or join on with a woman or a lady, we have to also know the attributes of a woman, know the attributes of a lady, because if we join on with a female, we have to know that there are going to be some things that comes along with that that's going to be in opposition to manhood that we're trying to thrive for on a continuous basis. So that's very important. And I think vulnerability, we're talking about vulnerability, I think a lot of times, maybe males more so than men. Like you said, as a man, a male will hold that back, but a man will come straight forward with that. A male will hold on to that. And too many of us hold on to things a lot of times, and we don't express it. And we talked about this in the last show, how we hold on to so much stuff, and then later on we take it out on the woman, or we take it out on the children. That's when domestic violence kick into play, because we hold in so much, and we don't feel like we can come amongst brothers, men, and express that and let that out so that we can get guidance, so that now we're going down the right path. But we choose the other route because our culture say that we shouldn't do that, because we have to be strong. We have to, we have to hold it in. We can't cry. These are the type of things that we're being taught when we're raised by women, because a lot of young boys are raised by women. Women don't know how to raise them. So what they tell them, you can't cry, you can't do all these things here. Now, emotionally, we can see our mothers crying. We can see that hurt, but we supposed to fight for them. We supposed to be this strong person, this strong man, and fight for our moms and fight. We're going to go out and do this, that, and the other. We're going to go and play basketball. We're going to make it playing basketball. We're going to make it playing football, and we're going to buy mama a house because mama struggled so hard. But never knowing how to be a man, only taking on the attributes of a male.
This gentleman I had breakfast with the other day, he said a quote, and I just looked it up in my phone because it goes along with what you said when you talk about a woman. He was speaking of the hierarchy from the Most High, being God the head, man, woman, children. Boom. It says, if a man is out of place, woman is misplaced, God is replaced, and the children are displaced. I said it like I had to write it down. I know it. Like I had to, because I had to write it down and go back and actually look at it and say, what do that mean? Because it was a lot of good, crafty words. Right. But when man is out of place, then obviously it throws off the whole hierarchy of the situation. And it say woman is misplaced. And then it says God is replaced and the children are displaced. And it makes a lot of sense. Again, what we're talking about, male versus man. You know what I mean? And another thing that jumped in my brain was, and to the communities that are going through these things, I salute you for being who you are. At the end of the day, you can tell manhood is something that they feel like is a learned behavior, because you will have a whole female dress up, put on the wallet, go get a girlfriend, get a job, and all this. And she's a man, but if you say you try to treat her, try to slap her, hit her, oh, I'm a female, you a male. So there's goes to show you they even understand the line between male and man, female and woman. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, you can be female these days and take on man attributes and quiet. You can even sell it to some people. Some people will buy it, and you can pull it off. But at the end of the day, you missing the element of it, which is the biology, which is the maleness of it. And then on the flip side, you got a lot of people who are biologically men all day long, got all the attributes, look good, shoulders broad and all this, but they don't have the development of manhood. And they might can learn some of that manhood qualities from the female that we were just talking about, because they seem to have it down packed. Right. So that just go to show you the interchangeableness of these definitions that we're speaking of. Male, female versus man, woman. Because I watched this white guy on YouTube and he kept asking people this simple definition. What's the definition of a woman? And nobody would answer it with a straight face, because they kept trying to leave out the biology part of it. They would start to give up the definition. Well, she does this and she's this and she. No. I said, what? Give me the definition. Perfect.
And see what, because what we saying when we talk about maleness versus manhood, and when you talked about the vulnerabilities, and you talked about a female, understand because females need to learn to be women, just like males need to learn to be men.
Absolutely.
And that, like the vulnerability, it goes even beyond it to a point of, because society, like a man not supposed to cry, or you supposed to be so hard. What happened, and men have these homophobic thoughts that anything they do like a woman suppresses them. But what's missing is we have those female qualities in us, and we have to be able to, like compassion, you have to be able to embrace that as a man. Because it's like, if you go down, like we talk about the creation, you go all the way down to the DNA. You got X and Y chromosomes. As men, we have X chromosomes. We have both. Women have X, but men have X and Y. But if you try to think that you can only have the Y, that's the male part. That's the masculine part. When you suppress the X, you suppressing a part of the God that's supposed to be within you. That part that requires some understanding and some compassion. Like a real man can go to his brother and talk to him because I'm having an issue, and can get counsel from him to help him become a better man. But when my maleness says, I can't talk to you and show no weakness and no vulnerability, you're missing a part of what makes you whole. And we need both to be complete. But when you suppress one, you suppressing a part of the godly nature, the divine that's within us. That's why we have both. Right. And that there's an order to it. Like, you got God, you got husbands, you got wives. There's an order to it. But when you, like how you were saying, when you start throwing pieces of it out, now you're trying to make a cake without all the ingredients, and you wonder why it won't rise.
And that word that you
wonder why the children are in the mess that they're in.
No doubt. And that word that you use, again, we used masculinity as the expression of my manhood. And then femininity would be the expression of her womanness.
Bingo.
So we need that feminine, like you said, that feminine principle. It's already in you. You just have to be willing to tap into it and say, this don't make me quote unquote gay, right, because I can feel compassion, or I'm empathetic, or
I'm hurt.
Yeah, I'm hurt. Period. I'm vulnerable.
I'm hurt.
Right.
I
period.
need you.
Yes.
See, a true man
should be able to say that.
Should be able to say that
for sure. But and I've learned this. Some of it comes with maturity. Because the way that I feel at 46, I didn't feel like this at 36. That's just real.
No,
I didn't.
Real. Or 26.
At 26, I didn't feel like I felt at 36. I was a lot less compassionate, a lot less empathetic. But as you grow and mature and you realize you start to become what your grandfather and them should have been, you realize that, hey, I'm in that age space now where I done seen my best years. So now I'm the guy that should be on the porch in a rocking chair soon giving out wisdom. But how can I give it out if I don't ever display it? When am I going to actually earn my grades? I got them, but am I displaying the attributes of this wisdom? No, I'm just what you say. I'm a male, been here for 47 years. That don't make me no man, and I'm not ready to be nobody's leader. And I think that's what we're missing. We're missing men who have walked the walk, like yourself. You've been down through there. So those young men that came out to the expo, I seen your son. Your son, actually, I think he was the one that was drawing. So he has a roadmap in front of him that is vital to life. He don't have to go into the streets and figure out where can I get good manly advice. He can get it from you. You've walked from maleness as you was born biologically to manhood. And I think that's where we're missing. A lot of those younger people don't have access to a you or even a myself.
And see, culturally, something we used to do, and this was from the motherland. See, we used to, we would take the males at a certain age and take them out and teach them about manhood. They had to go through that stage from youth to man. We even did that with some youth here. But see, we've gotten away from educating our, raising up our sons to be men. And unfortunately, we live in a society where, and it's real, we have a lot of single mothers raising young men. And they do a great job with what they have, but there's parts of them intrinsically that's missing that they cannot get unless they get it from us. And like when they take the man out, when they put us in prison and put us in the grave, we can't fault our women because they can only do so much because they need us
For sure.
to be the other part of it.
And what you just said still occurs. Manhood training does happen.
Yes.
When them boys turn 12, 13, and they get pulled off the porch because that woman's single and that man's in jail. It's called gang life, street life. Them dudes is recruiting them, and they showing them, again, it's two things. It's bringing back with that comment you made. The new culture is, here go your pistol, watch my back while I go do this. You too young to go to jail, so don't even trip when the police come. I got you. And here go a little grocery for your mom in them crib. So the new culture is manhood training looks like your mom can't take care of you. She shouldn't have to. Here, earn this little $100 and go help your mom out. Then you go back to mom with it, and mom, like you said, her hands are tied. She go from telling you, don't do it, to, son, be careful.
Right.
Bingo.
Right.
And then in your head, she's giving you permission, but really what happens is she's tapped out.
Right.
I can't beat you, so I'm just gonna join you. And that's the position that we putting these women in. But like you said, that manhood training, even if you go back to biblical, the Messiah disappeared after he talked in the temple with them 12 with the men. He slid off.
Where is it?
Where he went. But that's another conversation for another day.
Yes,
but
sir.
that is definitely the missing piece. My favorite movie, my wife she'd tell you if she was sitting here, my favorite movie is Roots. Roots demonstrates that manhood training like never before. They actually come in and put a pillowcase over their head and take them out.
Yep.
And when they take it off, now you got to go catch this chicken live. You got to go be able to do this. You got to get circumcised. Some things that has to occur. And then when we take you back into the village, you a man. And his mom even came to his hut, and she had to give him a certain amount of respect because when you left here, you was a boy. You wasn't gone number 30 days, but when you came back, man, so that means some learning occurred. A switch got flipped somehow. Came from that training that you speak of.
Right. We was talking a little bit about emotions. So, like going into this next question here, it said, how has emotional intelligence shaped your journey into manhood? Emotional intelligence.
Without it, we would be dead. You know what I mean? Because the police interactions, the ignorant, idiotic individuals on the streets in the car when you riding down the street, leaning on the horn. Somebody who's, you got a good looking woman, somebody do the whistle when y'all walk past. All these are small moments for you to be able to crash and burn. I could crash out about my wife in a heartbeat. You said, what? Did you just whistle at her? However, emotional intelligence makes me fast forward the event. Okay, smacking, camera, police, jail, mortgage, kids, detention. Nah, I'm cool. That's emotional intelligence. Being able to weigh out the why am I going to remain calm? Because on the inside, I'm steaming. When I get pulled over and get to ask stupid questions just because, are there any drugs and knives in the car? Why is that? Bro, you pulled me over because I was doing 5 over the speed limit. That's all. Let's limit it to that. However, my emotional intelligence is going to make me just say, oh, nah, sir, there's nothing like that in the car. I'm steaming with a smile.
Right.
That's emotional intelligence because I want to make it home that night. So it had, even when you don't know that you have it, you have it. One way that I've always proved in my youth that they have it is I ask them, do you cuss in front of your grandma? Nah, boy, I go over there. I know not to do that. So that means you have enough emotional intelligence to be able to turn that vulgar mouth of yours off. It just depends on, do you respect the person in front of you enough to do it? And then he sit there and be like, well, I didn't think of it like that. I did. So that means you don't respect me. If you sitting here just using that potty mouth, you wouldn't use that in front of Granny, because I know you don't.
Right.
Now he's emotionally struck like, wow, that's a respect thing, because it's a feeling. If I feel enough respect for you, I'll pull my pants up in your presence. If I feel enough respect for you, boss, I'll show up on time on your clock. If I don't, then I won't. So, yes, I think it has gotten us plenty, kept us alive on many good days, just having some emotional intelligence.
Yeah. I would say, when it comes to emotional intelligence, as you get older, you understand that everything don't deserve your energy.
Good one.
Everything don't deserve your energy. I believe big in the serenity prayer.
For sure.
I have started living like this. I have lived like this here. No, Yahweh give me the serenity to accept the things I can't change.
Yeah.
The courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You have to understand that everything don't deserve your energy. You want to chime in on that, Minister?
Oh yeah, something he said, and it's like it's a reality, especially with black men, like you saying with police stops. And I'm gonna say this: I have a great amount of respect for police officers because most of them do an incredibly difficult job and they do really good work. But most of us as black men have ran into those knuckleheads, and if they weren't wearing that badge and didn't have on that side piece, they will get a real beat down. But it's like emotional intelligence say, it's not worth it. I want to go home to my family. Because if it weren't for that badge and that gun, you would not be saying what you were saying or doing what you were doing.
Sure.
But I'm gonna give you a pass. So you can get home to your family, and I can get home to mine. Because most of us who've experienced it know that's really real. Because
Sure.
you're about this far from saying,
F it. Let's do it. Let's do it, buddy. Let's do it.
but emotional, that intelligence says, you know what? Let's put that away.
And that's one angle of it. That's our survival. But here's where I think some of us or most of us lack, and this even goes back to biblical, is emotional intelligence where we dealing with the female counterpart. That's a whole separate type of intelligence or lack thereof. On our, we know we have a Shabbat service every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. We discussed this morning Samson. And I said I couldn't have been Samson because Samson was one of the biggest fools that the Most High ever gave an order to, because she asked you 3 or 4 times how to hurt you. And every time you would say it, even though, you know, you thought, they almost got me. No, she was really calling Philistines in the room on you, bro. She was trying to get you caught, but your lack of emotional intelligence when it comes to dealing with a female, it made you vulnerable in ways that's not cool. You had emotional intelligence when it came to, I need to stand on business. They trapped me. I'm finna go kill 200 of them. You had that part that was together. That survival, fight or flight. But when it come down to your vulnerability as a man, I think all of us, and I don't have it figured out myself, have to have some sort of men group to talk about how do I deal, because Solomon couldn't even deal with it. He lacked emotional intelligence when it came to the female because the Most High gave him a direct order. You can have it all. Do all you do you. You got the wisdom you have, but do not go worship after them other gods.
And he did it.
And because of the women not paying him no attention, going up serving they God, he walking up beside him, getting down on the hill like, baby, what I do? Why are you so mad at me? Why you? And your lack of emotional intelligence when it comes to her caused you to cross the Most High out. So that's a vulnerable space for most men, and I don't think we ever get total control or knowledge of the emotional intelligence when it comes to dealing with the female.
Oh, if Solomon couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, it probably, and he was the wisest.
Right.
And the
Right.
richest.
Yeah.
So he had all of, and he couldn't figure it out.
Right.
When you think if you think you can figure it out,
Think about
you
him.
a knucklehead.
Right.
Don't even think you can. But what wisdom has taught me is it's a time, you come a female, come on, I can talk about my wife. It come a point to where you can run and stop, because I'm an advocate of, bro, don't put your hand on a woman. You shouldn't do that. Physically, we have more strength. Now, there's some sisters out there who they battle house, but they can't whoop no man. Unless they're an MMA fighter,
And she probably still can't.
and
do it.
you see, not
Right.
they don't have the upper body strength
No doubt.
because biologically we made different. Now, emotionally, they can get into a real battle. But as a man, what I've learned is if it get that, even if she was to put her hand on me, and I've testimony, I'll take it and I'm gonna run. I'm not gonna let that male part of me raise up and hit a queen. The king in me says, it's time for me to back up out of here.
Like,
I'm a back up out of this.
I got a
situation.
question for you. Because of what you just dropped, the adjective. So is every woman a queen, or was there some peasants in the vicinity as well?
I'm talking about a queen.
Okay, because I'm just making sure, because most, those titles are thrown around so loosely that king and queen. I would say, well, who was the joker and the jester and the peasant and the butcher and the barber? So all people don't get the title of that. They don't deserve to have their hands put on them, but some of them, like he said, I'm not even giving you my energy at all. Especially if you draw me to where I'm about ready to raise up on you. I got to take your permission slip back for my energy again.
See what I mean? If it's that, you shouldn't be with one like that.
No doubt.
Right.
You should not.
No doubt.
I don't care how big the butt is.
Right.
Because you being a male now, you're not being
Yeah,
a man.
absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
she can have a big butt and be a queen. Don't get me wrong.
No doubt.
But if that's all you, if that's all you saw, the reason is she's a female and she's attacking your male. But when a woman and a man get together,
So smooth.
it's a totally
So
different.
smooth.
It's
Totally different energy.
intellect.
You found your wife. Like when you like I know when I went through a lot of women, and then once I met my wife, it just seemed like everything got smooth. I'm like, this almost scaring me. Because what is this that's happening here? Is this male and female energy coming together? Like you said, my masculinity and her femininity being expressed in a way that I'm not bucking you. And I think that's one thing that we go through a lot these days, because those energies are so mixed up that the average male and female these days, not us, these days, it's hard to determine how to go, because like you said, she's got such a heavy emotional repertoire, and she can drag you down into an emotional fight that you can't win, but your strength is physical and you're not allowed to bring that to the table. So it's almost like you can't win.
Right.
Period. Even if you get into not even the physical, if you bring me into an emotional fight, I'll probably be better off taking off running, coming to find you like, hey man, bro, you're mine. You ain't gonna believe what just happened, boy. Because I'm finna lose. I cannot win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to Solomon. There's a time to chill. There's a time to run. There's a time. So there's a time to know I can't win this fight.
That war, you can physically in it, but then now you at 33rd. That's you finna go to jail.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you don't need to be explaining that. I'm not finna explain that to someone who now puts on a robe and pretends to be God. Because then when you break God's law, they step in and pretend to be the Most High and pass His judgment on you.
And if you're a real man, after you lose your cool and regain it, you're gonna look at the damage you've done,
Right.
and you're gonna feel real. You should
Right.
feel super small.
Mm-hmm.
Like I lost control of myself
Right.
and done that. Even if she not physically hurt, just for her to now have that little fear of you because you hit me.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen in women in those situations. It ain't even how hard you hit
That's
me.
a test.
It's the fact that
Yeah.
you hit
put
me.
your put your hands on me.
Yep. And
Yeah.
now I can't deal with you. No, I don't trust you with me no more.
I don't trust you. See, and we talked about
Can I trust you around my children?
Right.
and see the thing, we talked about men being protectors.
Mhm.
I don't feel protected around
Right.
you. You the enemy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I always said that we always talked about when we was young. Well, me and my partner, we can fight, but we haven't. And when we haven't. You know why? Because I don't want to hurt you.
Right.
When I fight you, if we don't knuckle up, I'm fighting hard,
Yes.
bro. I mean, I'm fighting you hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never gotten a fight with my main partners because I will try my best not to get in the. Because you're not gonna look at me the same after we fight.
No, we need to go to the
You're
gym.
gonna be you're
Don't
gonna be
do
thinking
that.
like, bro,
Right.
you was trying to hurt me, wasn't
Right.
you? Yeah, I was.
No, put on
Yeah,
some gloves.
sure
Put on-
was.
Put on some gloves and go to the gym.
Right, and that's a different thing.
Let's
But-
not take it to the street.
Right, because if you do that, I'm fighting. I'm putting hook in your mouth. I'm trying to gouge your eye, and you wake up like, bro, we can't even shake it. Nah, because bro, we was now again, like you say, you don't trust me with you no more because you tried to hurt me,
Yeah.
and that's what that. I'm sure that's what that female feels, especially
Yes.
with her being as vulnerable as she is physically. Even though she didn't show you fear, when she really think about it, like he could have killed me in here.
Right.
Yes.
One punch upside her head, you could really hurt a woman. So again, we don't have if we don't have the emotional repertoire which we have to go in and deal with them. Best thing is just be quiet, and listen.
Right.
Just go to the brothers later on, like, bro, I almost died on the inside, but I made it through. You know what I mean?
See, that's what we talk about, that spiritual thing, and it's in the scripture, and people miss it. Where they say when a man's supposed to leave his mother and father and leave his wife, and they become one. He said that's a great mystery because it's not about the two of them, but it's because the joining of the Most High. It's about the two becoming one in divinity, but it's not just the physical. But because when you get it, when you feel that connection, you know it. Like I say, when you find your wife, you find it's there and you know it.
Yeah.
But if you've never experienced it, then it's almost impossible to explain.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what you just said about the spiritual aspect of it, bringing the feminine and the masculine together, bringing the Most High into the. You
Yes.
can't get nothing in this world, whether it's the mental, the physical, or the spiritual, without bringing both of those principles together. So it's almost like you have to learn and find that balance. And obviously, as the male and the man, we're gonna have more masculinity than femininity, but you have to have your fair portion. You just got to find out where that balance is, so where that balance don't show up in the form of a bent over wrist, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, remember we talked about there's a scale for masculinity, so there's also a scale for femininity. You need some, but maybe yours is turned up a little too much, and so we need to bring you back to speed. Yeah, turn it down a bit. And you see it in some of these boys just imitating and mimicking the behaviors of their moms. He's not gay. He's too young to be gay, because gay and homosexual means you're engaging in sex or you're attracted to the opposite sex, not that you're displaying feminine characteristics. And we'll look at one of them little boys that see that and say, oh, that little dude gonna be gay. No, don't speak that on that young man.
Mm-hmm.
Just understand that somebody has not shown him that his level of femininity is higher than it should be, and to get him in that masculine room, over and let you go play with Pookie and Ray Ray, your cousins. Yeah, go outside and just climb a tree, hurt yourself, and just really to wake up that masculine energy in you, so your femininity does not grow into homosexuality. You know what I mean?
See, our punishment, I can remember. Well, I'm old school. We used to get a belt. We got a rod. But even sometimes the punishment was, you can't go outside. You ain't going outside and play. Now that ain't no punishment.
That's what they do.
They stay inside on a video. They don't want to go outside and play. Being inside and not being able to go outside was real punishment.
Right. So now you saying we should flip it. Go outside. That's you on the punishment. Get your butt outside. And you stay out there until it get dark. Or don't come in here unless you do. Get some water off the side of the house like we used to have to do. If you can, remember, don't come back in here. For sure.
You go out there and kick some rocks. Huh?
Yeah, do something. Find you something to do.
I know me and my brother, we used to go and play I Declare War. And we used to throw glass, rocks at one another. That's how I got this little scar on me, man. I came out finna throw it, and the piece of glass hit me right in my chest.
It was already on you.
It was already on.
War.
Man, it's crazy how we used to do it as young men coming up, though, young boys. But joining us, we have Yike Ezekiel. He finally made it. How you doing, my brother?
Shalom, man.
Doing pretty good. As you can hear, we're talking about emotional intelligence. How has emotional intelligence shaped your journey into manhood? And that's what we was talking about, emotional intelligence. You want to chime in on that?
Most definitely. That is the greatest aspect of the evolution from boyhood to manhood. And as the brother alluded to earlier, if you do not have that figure in your life that will allow you to pattern yourself after a man, then you will become emotionally crippled, and you would deal off of strictly emotions, which will allow you to put yourself in a position to have a rough life, because you're not using wisdom as your guide. You're using how you feel, and that's predicated on your value system. And this is why it's okay for certain households to engage in activity that other households won't, because it's a value system. We don't have standard that governs the behavior of everybody across the board, to where when you begin to take on these characteristics, traits, then you know that he's becoming a man. And the problem is, we look at Hollywood, look at the music, it's emotionally stunting the youth. And this is why, like I said earlier, they engage in behavior that shows that they're not on the path to becoming a man, that they're fully embrace maleness. And that's what's being glorified now in the culture today.
All right. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour. We normally transition, but we're going to keep this topic going, but we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with the continuation of this topic.
Because Scott & Associates always treats me like family, I refer my family to them. So when preparing for my taxes and I know exactly what to bring in coming in, it makes the process so much easier. Anyone should hire Scott & Associates because they are professional, respectful, and very knowledgeable. And with all of my heart, I can always count on them.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm an enrolled agent with Scott & Associates accounting firm. As you can see, we work diligently for our clients, making sure that all of their tax and accounting needs are met. Come take a walk with me.
At Scott & Associates, we pride ourselves in providing exceptional service to our clients. We firmly stand behind all of the work that we do. However, we have also put measures in place to protect our clients should something ever go wrong.
To schedule a tax appointment for your business or personal need, text or call us today at 321-754-1360. And remember, you can always count on Scott.
All right. Welcome back. I'm enjoying this. I hope our listening audience is as well. We do have our dear brother out there on YouTube that's chiming in, and we thank you, my dear brother, the Crown Prince of Yahweh, for chiming in and reaching out, just saying his he's just giving his greetings to brother Shane and then brother Yikat Zekia. So blessings, my brother. We appreciate you chiming in. All right, so we're gonna get into the next part here where we talk about relationships and community. And the next question here is, how do manhood and fatherhood connect? And that goes to my guest.
How do manhood and fatherhood connect? I do believe that, again, we talked about that linear evolution. Maleness, in order to become a father, you have to start off as a male. And then in order to really be a father, you have to be done evolved into a man, because men are going to take responsibility for what they bring into this world. And so, again, I don't think there's no playbook or a rule book on how to demonstrate that fatherhood. But I do believe that fatherhood comes with a lot of the same characteristics that we would describe in manhood when it comes to your woman: protector, provider, leader, a nurturer, all the things that you should be. So I do believe that if you skip any of the steps in that evolution, then you never really will be a father. Fatherhood will be, you could biologically be done produce a child, but you won't be a father. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I was, and I'm gonna let you brothers chime in, but as you were speaking, I was thinking about coming up, like when I was a coach for Little League basketball and football, and how I coach versus how I see today's society and how they interact with our youth from that standpoint. Our youth, they love basketball, they love football. When I coached, I wasn't so big on wins or loss. I was more focused on developing the character of the child. Because if you develop the character of the child, that's what it's supposed to be about. Nowadays, I'm seeing a difference in how they're coaching, because I believe we are a village. Whoever has interactions with your child should have some type of influence on that child, should be able to give him some type of attributes when it comes to being a man. And we're talking about men, we're talking about young men. And if that can't happen, then you need to remove that child from that and try to put him into programs like Big Homies of America, MOP, where they have true mentorships, and now can give the child what that child needs when it comes to being a man on his journey to becoming a man. And I just feel like, and the reason I bring this up, my grandson, for instance, my daughter, I was telling her, I say, with some of the things that he's experiencing, are you sharing it with the coach? Because if you're sharing it with the coaches, how we coached and how we came up, we made that a focal point. And we would deal with the child where the child is at. Because children do want to play, they want to do all these things here. But if you ain't did your homework, if you ain't did certain things, you know what? You're going to sit over there and you're going to do it. That's a responsibility. Becoming a man, that's a responsibility. If we don't teach them responsibility, how are they going to become a man? So it's very important that we understand that as men, even if you're not a father, you're part of the village of raising that young man to become a man. And I think that's a part of understanding who we are, what we represent, and how important we are to the community of raising our young men. And I pass it along. Any one of you brothers want to chime in on that? Yik Ezekiel, Minister? Uh-oh. You there?
No doubt about that. You have to look at as a father, as the brother said, there are certain ingredients that go into making you that. Like you said, you have to have morality. You have to have financial literacy. You have to have tactfulness. You have to have certain traits that as that male child is watching you, they will want to emulate, so that when they begin to grow into their manhood, they'll be able to have a proper GPS follow. And most parents want their children to go further than where they went in life. And this is why they try to guide them, or as I said, nurture them. And in doing that right there, you have to take into account that even when your child steps outside of the house, where is the majority of his time being spent? If they're being spent in some type of little league sports, then what is the character of the coaches around them? Because if they're spending hours throughout the week with these people, they will have an influence on your child. You are mentally what you take in. So if your child is taking in the character of these coaches or different family members, and their behavior is not in alignment with the attribute you're trying to instill into your child, then you're going to be at war. And if they're spending more time outside of the house than with you, then you're eventually going to lose that war. So part of fatherhood is, again, if we are a village, I have to understand, don't allow my child to get hanging out with the wrong influences. Just because they family members or teachers or coaches, because they can shape the character of my child, and it can be diametrically opposed to what I'm trying to instill inside of them. So that's a great connection that has to be protected. That's part of being a father. You're protecting what your child intakes. Just like you don't let them watch certain TV shows or listen to certain types of music. You have to keep them around certain characters of people.
Yes, sir.
And I would just add to that on with what everybody is saying, and I really agree with that. And then the other point of that fatherhood is, especially for boys, it's through example. As a father, like, you want to spend that time, you have to have that time bonding with them, so there's a relationship. But like I think Shane said earlier, it's an example. They see with their eyes, they hear with their ears. So you have to be an example. You want to teach them the right thing to do, but you also have to demonstrate the right thing for them to do. Like, you can't, for example, tell them to eat proper, but your diet is terrible, because that's confusing. They're going to hear you, and you may force them on that, but they learn much better along with an example, like teaching them as they grow older about finances, like being a man, especially from the young boy, like learning sports. That's really, like you say, it's really about developing a character and teamwork. Like your child can be he can be the fastest and the strongest. So you want him running that ball, but he got to have a teamwork and respect, because if nobody's blocking for him, he ain't gonna never get past the line of scrimmage. He got to get somebody to block so he can get past that line of scrimmage. Then he can show you that speed. But then that principle when he's younger is if you disrespecting your, at least I know when if you were disrespecting your teachers or you were doing your work, I don't care how fast you were or how good you were, you would go be on the bench. And if you didn't do that, you weren't even gonna get on the team. So it's like, yeah, winning is important, but there's a whole group of what goes into winning. And like that example comes to, especially when young men start to get an age where they now can see a woman and now you have to teach them about how to date. You have to teach them about how to be a decent young man. Because if you have daughters, it's like, what kind of, the question you have to not just ask, but instill is my son the kind of man that I want being with my daughter? And I see that's where it takes a village, because if I want to find, I'm looking for husbands for my daughters and I'm looking for wives for my sons. But as a community, that's what we have to be able to produce, because that we're toxic. You don't want anybody toxic coming home with your daughter.
Right.
So you wouldn't want to raise a son to be toxic to go to somebody else's daughter.
I was going to go back to what the brother said when he said something about if those influences in your child's life are not influencing your child and take them away. Any place or any person that is around your child is influencing your child, whether you know it or not. We are some of the most adaptable beings in the world. You can put us anywhere, we're going to start to adapt to. I seen the guy who went on a run and went to Russia, and 10 years later, this news reporter ran up on him. He kept talking about how he was so isolated and nobody wouldn't deal with him and this wouldn't have hurt the dirt. But he sounded and he talked and he looked like a Russian, only because his environment had been this for the last 10 years of his life. So subconsciously, we so powerful because the Most High created us in this way that even when we don't know we're being influenced. So if the person is not having a positive influence on your child, and at least not a neutral influence on your child, then that's probably the negative influence on your child. So we have to be mindful of environment. As environment shape your child, how much more will a person's with actual behaviors shape your child? So we have to be very mindful about those influences. Like you said, coaches, what's your motivation? You got my son on AAU because he can play real good and y'all winning, y'all 20-0, but he's lacking at home and he's disrespecting his mom and he don't have no responsibility. You got to come and pick him up for practice, and he's 17 years old when he should have his license. He should be driving. But again, like you said, the culture of coaching and knowing that my coaching job is just it's really my mentoring job. Basketball just my way to mentor you, so to speak, as a coach.
Yeah. When they got around about 12, I stopped coaching. I said, I don't coach after 12.
Just get too real then.
Hey, that's when the parents at home let them do anything. Now they're gonna bring that to me. No, we ain't gonna deal with that one. But that's a part of as we get older. I mean, Big Homies of America, MOP. We have to get out there in those trenches sometimes and deal with those type of attitudes and see how we can win some souls when it comes to that. But we don't win 100%. If 3 come in, we can get 1. We're thankful. If 10 come in, we can get 1. We're thankful for the 1 that we saved. All right, so I think we have enough time for one more question here. And you talked about health and eating. So I'm gonna throw this question out here. What impact does healthy manhood have on families and communities?
What impact? Are we talking about physical health or just because you use the word healthy?
Yeah, that's true.
Physical health.
We're gonna talk about physical health.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do believe that, man, if you don't have your physical health, like the brother said, health is wealth. There's no sense in being financially institute and all these things when your health is just suffering.
Right.
So I do think that if you're not properly in your diet, if you're not properly exercising your regimen, it affects your mental regardless. We can keep it in physical all day long, but this is the vessel and the vehicle that my mind and my spirit travels in. So if I'm not taking care of that, then I'm probably going to miss out on some opportunity. I'm probably going to miss out on some activity, different things of that nature. And plus, the last thing I'll say on that tip is one of the worst things to do is to wake up and not feel 100% yourself. because whatever other problems that you already had as a black man in America, add that on top of now my back hurt. You know what I mean? Or add that on my gout acting up or whatever it may be. So I would just, like I said, again, and again, the Most High, he proven himself to be the best of knowers. Now they starting to realize that his clean diet has been the cleanest diet the whole time. Like, if you eat how the Most High says eat, then a lot of these problems you don't have. I know people in our age group, and I think that we all in the same age group, somewhere within a 5-6 year range. A lot of people in our age group already have a cabinet full of medicine already.
Yeah.
Like they have I have diabetes. I'm suffering from this. They start lying. I'm borderline diabetes. No, you're not borderline diabetes. You're about to eat yourself into bad health. Let's just use those words. So I do think that health is something that we should focus on. And again, a way to focus on health is just obedience. Obedience to his word, obedience to his way. It's proven. Even the Nation of Islam would try to use the same diet. Oh, we only eat to live instead of living to eat. Well, where you get that concept? Who'd you get that clean eating from? Where'd you get that from? Let's go back now. So if we just be obedient, a lot of these physical ailments that we suffering from won't happen.
So true. However, the problem with health is we don't think we have ailments because the media tells us anytime we feel any type of pain or discomfort, they have some type of pill for. So why should I go spend money in the gym membership when all I gotta go is to the local pharmacy and pick up some type of pill? And I feel instantly. Where it may take weeks or months or even years for me to be able to work these issues out in the gym. And we not understanding the correlation. As a man, part of protection is to be healthy. If I'm laid up because I'm feeling ill and somebody attacks my house, I can't physically defend it because I can't get out of bed. So my diet is super important because without good health, it don't matter how good my mind is. I can't use it because I can't move. I'm laid up with all kind of tubes on me. So we have to learn that part of being a man is setting an example dietary-wise. So that you can save money on medicine, hospital bills. All that can be avoided by eating correctly and exercising correctly. Every animal on our planet does that. Every animal has a specific diet that's built toward their digestive system. And they exercise, they move around, they run, they chase. So humanity wasn't meant to eat anything they can get past their lips and sit down all day. And think there's not going to be any ill effects. That's just illogical.
Yeah, and I'm big on health, and it's like that point, like to when you know your first health. I always say is your first wealth is your health, and we are this generation now is the first generation where the youth are almost sicker than the elderly, because you have teenagers now, large amounts of them, with diabetes, obesity, and all kinds of illnesses that you didn't get when they were younger. Like you say, my brother, we have those in our age group and younger. They have more prescription medications in their home than my mother, and my mother's in her 90s. And they think it's normal. We've been taught it's normal to have diabetes, sugar, and it's normal. Because the discipline is we're not conscious about what we're eating and what you put in your body. It's the output. You think better, you live better, you function better when you eat properly. If you don't, that's why we have ailments. The example is in your car. We take our car, I say all the time, most people take better care of their cars than their body. Because you know at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, depending on which oil you're using, go get that oil changed. And when you use the right type oil, your car performs better. When you get the tune-up, it performs better. But if you have a low amount of oil, low amount of water, not enough transmission fluid, your vehicle is not going to perform optimally. It's the exact same thing with your body. And you're running around at 60%, 70%, 80%. But if we live and eat right, your body performs at 90, 95, and 100%. And as a community, we do better. But when we start going into the pill facility where I can just take a pill to make me feel better, you're performing at less than what you're supposed to be. It's like if your car is meant to be, you shouldn't be driving 0 to 60 in so many seconds, but you got to have the right oil in there for it to do so. Same thing with your body.
Indeed. You know, a brother had chimed in from YouTube. He talked about the rite of passage. And Brother Shane had alluded to that when he was talking about the 7 years kind of develop a person. When we think about, like when we go back, I think one of our shows we were talking about health, and we were talking about, hereditary as far as certain diseases. When you have trained a person or a child to eat a certain way from a youth when they don't have any control of what they eat because they have to get whatever food from you, you done trained them how to eat like this here. And they take on this here all the way up until they, some all the way into 50, some in the church. You got pastors in the church right now that are suffering from what we talked about, diabetes and all these different illnesses. But they're leaders. They're supposed to be leadership.
Go back to us being stiff-necked, hard-headed. Even the pastors in the church, they suffering from a lack of knowledge. It says it, my people will perish for a lack of knowledge. You don't know. There's only 2 diets in the world, clean one and unclean one.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. And if you eat a clean diet, it goes back to the simplest thing, man. Obedience to something. Being mentored. I'm being mentored by the living word of God. When I don't have another man around me, the word of God is my mentor. It will tell me what to and not to do. Now, I need to see it in action again from somebody else who's already walking in their walk, so I can say, oh, that's what being obedient looks like. That's what eating clean looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what don't look at the law as binding or legalistic. Look at it as somebody who care about you enough to leave you the way to follow. And my diet is pure. Anything else that we can go back and forth all day, it's either clean or unclean. Most of them pastors that stand on them pulpits, 300-400 pounds on a 5'5" frame.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? It's called quote unquote soul food, but that's food that they've given us. They knew what they was doing when they gave it to us. We want you to purposely eat unclean. And now they, like you said, it becomes a normal. Black people suffer from diabetes and high blood pressure. You know why? Because we eat unclean. If you take that element away, and we go back to living like we supposed to, 100, 105, 110. Simple as that. He gave us 120 in Genesis. I'll take my whole 120.
Right.
I want my whole 120.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I want to be out there plowing the field. Oh, I gave up the goat. What do you do? He was out there plowing the field.
But he was 120. It was his time.
No, that's so true. And you said the scripture, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Therefore, it deals with our children. I think the scripture said, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Therefore, your children, it talks about our children will suffer, and that's what's happening. Because you lack knowledge, your children is suffering from that. So that's so true and right on point. And brothers, we are at that time. I would have loved to get deeper off in this, but we will have to put a comma right there and maybe put on a part 3 to this here, because there's still a lot that we need to talk about. But at this time, I want to just go ahead and give you the flow so that you can sign off and tell people how they can, join, follow you, etc. Your last comment on the show.
My last comment would be, man, just continue to strive to be the best you. I mean, you can find me at Big Homies of America on Facebook. You can find me at Shane Zulu Shepherd on Facebook, but also you can find me in the trenches with MOP, man. I've watch these gentlemen, I watch these brothers do the work. I've sent some paperwork in to these brothers, let them know that I want to walk alongside of them. So hopefully pretty soon you'll be able to get a lot more of me alongside of these brothers at MOP, because the work that they do and the work that I do, they go side by side.
Yeah, hey, and before you go, Shane, just so everybody know, I just want my brothers that are published author. I don't have two of them in front of me, but the first one I believe was Truth and Change. It is available. You can get it. It is an excellent read. Just want to promote it. And this Respect and Revenge, I don't know if that's number 2 or number 3.
So that's actually part 2 of a trilogy. So
part
1, part 1 would have been, that's my novel series, and that's fictional. Sir. And those that over there is nonfiction. So the Truth and Change is a curriculum for young black males to try to give them some of this game and guidance that we talked about. And I have another element of entertainment when the Respect Revenge series that still got lessons in it, but it's more of an entertainment element to it as well.
But I'm saying it's a good read. You know, we got to be able to support one another. It's a lot of stuff out there, but put something, like you say, it's not only the food that you put in your body, but it's the food that you put in your mind.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Indeed. So, Ekaziki, you want to sign off, brother?
Yes, sir. Continue to evolve from male to a man daily. That is the focus.
Indeed. And I leave us with this here. And this comes from Proverbs 27:17. It said, iron sharpens iron. So a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. And that's what we're doing today. And I say from the host, I want to say peace and prosperity. And from Live Talk, we are out.
Thank you for watching Live Talk. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit on the notification button so that you can see more videos like this. You want to join the show? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook and Instagram at Arthur Jeremiah. And visit the website, thenoystore.com, to pick up your copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name.